Good morning, everyone. Thank you for those of you who are attending the transfer fair this morning. Our first presentation is all the way from UNC Asheville, Lindsay Prather. Again, thank you for joining. Please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A box that you should be able to see up at the top. We are Academic Advising. We're excited to have the fair today. Please feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation. We will have until 10 o'clock with Lindsay, and she will be able to share her contact information. Also, don't forget to stick around for some other schools throughout the day, and you should be receiving a survey at the end for a chance to win a $50 gift card for participating. All right, and Lindsay, go ahead and take it away.
All right, thank you so much. Welcome everybody to the UNC Asheville Transfer Information Session. My name is Lindsay Prather. I am the Assistant Director of Admission here at UNC Asheville. I am the transfer lady. That's what I'm known for on campus. Anytime anybody talks about anything, I'm always the person that says, does this include transfer students? And are we thinking about transfer students? So about a third of every incoming class at UNC Asheville is transfers. So it's a significant population at UNCA. We love our transfer students. And on a personal note, I'm actually from the Raleigh area. So very familiar with Wake Tech. It's a fantastic school. And I'm also a proud alumna of UNC Asheville. I graduated from there myself. I did not start there. I was a transfer student as well. So I have been there, and I absolutely love working with our transfer and our adult students. All right, so UNC Asheville. We are located in the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains. We're about 4 hours west of y'all. So there's only about 3 mountain schools in public schools in North Carolina. We are the designated liberal arts university of the UNC system, and we'll talk for a second about what that means. We are a smaller school. We're on the smaller end of the UNC system schools. We have under 4,000 students on campus, and we are solely undergraduate. So all of those students are undergraduate students. And we'll talk in a minute about what the benefits of that are as well. So we are a liberal arts institution. What that means is that not only are you getting the depth of knowledge in the major that you choose, but you're also getting a really strong foundation in things like how to ask good questions, how to look at things from other perspectives, how to write and pull in and synthesize information. So all of those things are skills that you're building in all of your classes, whether you're an engineering student, an art student, or a history student. We're consistently ranked across the country as a Best Buy university, which means you're really getting a good bang for your buck. You're essentially getting a private school education for a public school price here at UNC Asheville. So our student to faculty ratio, that's a number that you'll hear a lot when schools are presenting. Ours is 13 to 1. So what does that mean? That means for every faculty member that we have on campus, we've got about 13 students per ratio. So that means that you're getting a really personalized experience with your advisors and with your faculty. It means you get to know them really well, and we'll talk about how that can benefit you. Undergraduate research, internships, and study abroad are all really good ways to personalize your education at UNC Asheville. We actually co-founded the National Council on Undergraduate Research back in the 80s at UNCA. So something that's very, very important to us. Over 70% of our students complete some type of undergraduate research project. Some of our majors require it. If you're doing biology, atmospheric science, environmental studies, those kinds of things do require undergraduate research. But you can also do research in our sociology program, our history program, our psychology program, all kinds of opportunities there. Internships are really important to us as well. We really want to make sure that students are being prepared not for just the program that they're going into, but also the career that they're hoping to go into. So over 50% of our students complete at least one internship while they're at UNC Asheville. Again, some of our programs require an internship. If you're interested in studying management, that's going to require you to be paired up with a mentor in the local business community. And then study abroad, of course, as well. While we are a smaller school, we have programs with over 55 countries around the world. We have a dedicated study abroad office to work with students to make sure that you have the opportunity to study, but without extending your time in school. Make sure that it matches up with the program that you're in. And then something a lot of people don't know about UNC Asheville, we have 16 Division I sports teams, essentially everything except for football. Our basketball, baseball, and soccer teams in particular are really, really well known. Students love going to those games, and you can go for free as a student. So again, you know, one of the things that people love most about UNC Asheville is our size. So not only is the campus small, but of course that translates into small classes. Our average class size is about 20 students, and that can get even smaller as you're getting up into your seminar courses junior and senior year. So again, what that means is that you're able to develop that relationship with your faculty and with your advisors. Because we're a solely undergraduate institution, all of our classes are faculty taught, which means we don't have graduate assistants teaching the classes. They're all taught by faculty. So you're getting to know those professors really well, which means when it comes time to finding that internship or finding, you know, applying to graduate school or finding that job, your professor is able to write you that personal letter of recommendation because you're not just one student in a 400 student lecture hall, right? So that relationship you're developing really helps you further into the future. When I was applying to graduate school 8 years after I graduated UNC Asheville, I had still maintained such a good relationship with my advisor that I could get that letter of recommendation even 8 years later. Hands-on learning is extremely important to us at UNCA. Obviously, we're in the beautiful mountains, so we try to get outside the classroom as often as we can. Our environmental studies group is always, you know, testing water in the French Broad River, water quality, and out, you know, in the mountains, tracking and taking soil samples. Our atmospheric science program is downtown at the NOAA Weather Data Center, learning more about meteorology and how to study climate change. Even our poetry and English and literature courses are outside on the quad, doing poems and literature about being out in the environment. So all sorts of opportunities to be out. And then of course, even outside of the classroom, we have a very strong campus rec center. A lot of our students love to be out hiking, camping, canoeing, being outdoors as much as possible. So there are tons of opportunities to be outdoors and to enjoy the mountains while you're here at UNCA. We are also less than 2 miles to downtown Asheville. We're not smack in the middle of the city like a, you know, typical college town, but we're accessible enough that it's super easy to get there. Students can walk, ride their bikes, catch the city bus down into downtown. And if you don't know Asheville very well, there is tons of stuff to do there. We're known for our art festivals, our music festivals, incredible food. If you're vegan or vegetarian, there's tons of options for food for you. So a lot of really, really cool things to do in downtown Asheville, just right next door to campus. And then, as I mentioned, our sports teams as well. Our men's doubles tennis team won the national championship just a couple years ago. Our baseball team is doing really, really well. Our basketball team is super fun to watch. And those games are just a couple minutes from your dorm room right there on campus. All right, programs. This is what everyone really wants to hear about, right? These are the majors that we have to offer here at UNC Asheville. Most of these majors are also available as a minor. As you can see, you know, we might not have quite as many options as the larger schools, but the options that we do have are really, really strong. So you can see everything here from accounting to languages, sociology, music technology, everything across the spectrum here. A lot of people think of UNC Asheville as kind of the art school, but we have incredibly strong sciences as well. In particular, since y'all are Wake Tech, I do want to touch on our engineering program. So we do have a mechatronics engineering program at UNC Asheville. Mechatronics is essentially like robotics, right? It's that combination of mechanical, electrical, and computer engineering. We are one of only 5 accredited, ABET accredited mechatronics programs in the country. It is a joint degree with NC State. And we have a special partnership with Wake Tech. Y'all are the only community college if you complete an associate's in engineering at Wake Tech and then transfer to UNC Asheville, you'll be able to complete that mechatronics degree in 3 years. Any other student, it would take them 4 years to complete that degree. But we've got a relationship with Wake Tech where we can kind of shave off a little bit of time for y'all for that program. So would love to talk more about that if you're interested. I believe in April I'm doing a presentation specifically on the engineering program for Wake Tech students. But that one's really unique. Our music technology program is really unique. I'll just touch on a couple of these. That is where you can learn about the recording and engineering side of music. It's actually what my brother did when he was at UNCA. It's really neat. There's a recording studio on campus, and they pair you up with music performance students and help them learn how to record their own music. So that's really, really cool. Atmospheric sciences, I've mentioned a couple times. That's for students that are interested maybe in being a weatherman on TV, broadcast meteorology, but also students that are interested more in behind the scenes stuff in terms of climate change and studying that. We've got very strong accounting and management programs. That's one department. As I mentioned before, those have strong internship components. They also pair you up with a mentor, a local business leader to mentor you and help you learn more about the business community there. We also have a very strong interdisciplinary studies department. You might see that at a couple other schools. That is your opportunity to study a program that kind of pulls in different topics, right? Where you can also create your own major if you want to. So for example, we've had quite a few students who are interested in art therapy, right? Well, we don't have a specific degree in art therapy, but we've got art, we've got psychology, we've got a neuroscience minor, right? So we have opportunities where you can work with an advisor and create your own major in whatever it is that you specifically want to do. So a lot of flexibility here, and we really do encourage students to kind of pull in those different interests, right? So you don't have to just pick that one thing. So in addition to those majors, of course, we have minors that you can add as well. That arts management and entrepreneurship one actually just got bumped up to a major. That's a really good opportunity for students that are interested in the arts field, that are creative, but also want to learn some of that business sense and those management skills. Astronomy is a really popular minor, particularly for students that are studying atmospheric science or physics. There's that neuroscience minor down there. That one's very popular, again, for students that are interested maybe in psychology, want to get a little bit more the science side. And then finally, we do have these pre-professional programs. So if you're interested in any pre-health careers after you get your bachelor's degree, we've got pre-health advisors that can help make sure that you're taking all those classes those med schools or those dentistry schools want to see. Our teacher licensure program is very popular at UNC Asheville. That's the program that I did when I was there. Any student can get a teaching license with any degree on campus. So it's not an education degree, it's a teaching license that you add to whatever major you're doing. So for example, if you're interested in teaching history, you can get a degree in history in addition to that teaching license. So the benefit to that is that it kind of gives you that other degree to fall back on. It makes you more employable, but also gives you a second option if you decide not to be a teacher anymore. So for example, I got my major, my degree in sociology at UNC Asheville and also got my teaching license, taught high school for a while, decided not to teach anymore, but I still had that degree in sociology that I could fall back on and use for other careers if I wanted to. All right, so a couple more nitty gritty stuff. Financial aid. Number one thing to remember for financial aid is to complete your FAFSA. Even if you don't think that you're going to qualify for anything, even if you don't think you want to take out student loans, we always encourage students to complete that FAFSA just in case you're eligible for something that you're not aware of. You'll be automatically considered for scholarships and grants just by applying to the university. So you don't have to tell us that you want financial aid. We'll go ahead and try to put together a package for you anyway. We do have a scholarship specifically for students who are members of PTK, Phi Theta Kappa. That's an honor society for students at community colleges. So if you are a member, definitely let us know. We can get you a small scholarship just for being a member. If you know of anybody who's attended UNC Asheville and who's graduated from there, we have a scholarship where UNCA alumni can refer you for a scholarship. All they have to do is complete that form, say, hey, this person's awesome, they'd be a great fit, and you automatically qualify for that small scholarship. And then finally, we do accept outside scholarships as well. So I encourage students to take a look at those. I think the Department of Labor has a good link to get you started. Our financial aid website has some good links to get you started as well. It can be a little bit of work. There might be some essays that you have to write, but you and I both know that $250 here, $500 there can make a really big difference. I apologize if you can hear my dog walking around. There are lots of opportunities to visit UNC Asheville. We are doing campus tours right now. We've been continuing to do campus tours as much as we can through the pandemic. So those tours are small, they are personalized. Our campus is absolutely gorgeous. It's one of the ways that we hook people when they're checking out campuses. So I promise you will fall in love if you see it. We also do have virtual visit options as well. If you're not comfortable coming to campus, but you still want to get that personalized tour, you can do that with our virtual option. A couple of resources here, and I'll be sure to put this in the chat as well. My email to contact me. I'm the first point of contact for students that are interested in transferring to UNC Asheville. I'm happy to connect you directly with departments. If you want, specific information about a particular major, I can connect you with those faculty and help you to learn more. A lot of our transfer students are also military veteran students. So we've got contact information here. I can connect you with the woman who can help you complete that paperwork to make sure that you're getting all the benefits that you need. Application deadlines. If you're interested in this fall, the deadline to apply is April 15th. If you're interested in the spring, the deadline is November 15th. And that'll mostly be the same date every year as we go through, but always feel free to reach out. I do encourage students to apply sooner rather than later, just because we can make sure we can build that time in to process all of your application materials and get you meeting with an advisor before it's time to register for courses. Some students think that they have to complete their associate's degree before they can apply to the university. That's not true at all. Go ahead. We do recommend that students work on their application and submit their application while they're still in their final semester at their current school. In terms of tuition and fees, so this does not include room and board. A lot of our transfer students choose to live off campus, which is totally your right. So tuition and fees for an in-state full-time student is going to be a little over $3,500. We do have a fixed tuition program at UNC Asheville, so as soon as you enroll with us, that tuition rate itself will not change. In terms of housing, as I said, transfer students are welcome to live on campus. They're not required to. We do have apartment complexes all around campus that a lot of our students live in. If you do want to live on campus, we have a special living learning community specifically for transfers. That's an option for you. You're not required to live in it, but it is a good option. You would have your own room. You would live on the same hall as other transfer students. Y'all would do monthly events together. It's just a really great way to meet other students who've come in from other areas. Application requirements. If you are a full college student, meaning you're not dual enrolled, you're fully at Wake Tech, you've graduated high school, and you're completing your associate's degree, then you would fall into this, this third category here. So just the application, your college transcripts, and a transfer form, which I'll send you. Don't forget to do the residency determination service so that you can qualify for that in-state tuition. All right. And that is what I've got for y'all. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen if I know how to do that. All right.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. So at this time, we will open up the floor for anybody that has questions. There is a live Q&A box, or rather bubbles at the top. Just feel free to type your questions in there as they come to you, and we will ask them out loud for Lindsay. And then don't forget to stick around to receive the survey for a possible $50 gift card for participating.
While we're waiting on questions, I will also add one tip that I always give to transfer students. It is never too early to reach out to a university. And I will go ahead and say I'm comfortable speaking on behalf of all universities because we've talked about this a lot. But even if you're still in your first semester at Wake Tech, and you think that you might be interested 2 years from now going to a university, go ahead and reach out to them now. Get a sense of, if they have curriculum guides that you can follow, course recommendations. They have events maybe going on campus where you can learn more about the department. So just never feel like it's too early to start asking questions and start reaching out.
All right, Lindsay, so we had a student that just asked if he can see the last slide where it said with the minimum credit hours.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So basically, if you have 24 credit hours here at Wake Tech, you are able to submit an application to UNC Asheville.
Yes.
And, yeah, you would transfer in as basically a freshman sophomore status, right?
Yeah. So, and I'll say, you don't have to have 24 credits in order to transfer to UNC Asheville. We've had students who transfer with a single college class. But the number of credits does change what materials we need for your application. So you're welcome to transfer to us before you reach those 24 credits. Just know that if you do, you're going to need to show us your high school transcript as well. But if you've got at least 24 credits, then we don't need that high school transcript. We don't need an SAT or ACT score. We don't need anything from high school. I can also, and I can put my information again in the chat, but I do have a checklist where I can show students exactly if you're completing that associate's degree, how that's going to transfer in. If you are transferring in with a completed associate's, you would be starting with us as a junior. But yeah, you're welcome to transfer with as many credit hours as you've got. For a lot of our programs, we do recommend that students complete that associate's degree before they start with us, just because it's a little bit cleaner. Some of our programs, like our teacher licensure program, it might be a good idea to go ahead and reach out a little bit sooner. So it all just kind of depends, and that's why I say never hesitate to reach out and ask questions.
All right, I don't see any more questions there, but I'll ask some questions for the students, if you don't mind, Lindsay.
Sure.
So what is a competitive GPA to have for admissions? What is the minimum GPA requirement?
Yeah, so we're generally looking for at least a 2.5. Our average GPA for incoming transfers is, I think, between like a 3 and a 3.2. So, competitive would be around a 3 or a 3.2. We do work with students who have, who have closer to a 2.5. And that's mostly because when you're a community college student, especially if you have a completed associate's degree, you've shown us that you can complete those college courses, right? So, a 2.5, while of course we'd prefer to see A's and B's, some of those classes can be a little bit more difficult. And so, at least you're showing us that you're willing to work hard, and you're working towards completing that degree. We do holistic application review. So while of course your GPA is important because that shows us your academic abilities, we are looking at everything else in your application as well. And I will say, probably 3/4 of transfer students that I work with have, that one semester on their transcript where they're like, please don't look at that. It does not accurately represent who I am. And we all know there's a million reasons for that, right? Maybe you had to pick up a second shift at your job. Maybe you had to move to a different school or switch programs. So there's a lot of reasons why you might have 1 or 2 semesters where you didn't quite reach your academic abilities. So we take all that into consideration. If you ever feel like you want to provide extra context or background to why your GPA is what it is, always feel free to do that. Give us as much information as you're comfortable giving us to make it easier to make that decision. And then it is, just keep in mind that it's a conversation. Because we're a smaller school, we're able to work with students on a case-by-case basis. So, if you're not quite where we need you to be in order to start at UNC Asheville, we might recommend, taking 1 more semester at a community college and then transferring to us, or, starting part-time. So there's almost always a plan B if you don't get accepted the first time.
Okay. And we have another question from a student. They said, do you offer application fee waivers at all?
Yes, absolutely. And for transfer students, it's actually pretty easy. We pretty much just take your word for it. So you don't have to submit any particular paperwork. There is an option on the Common App. There's a drop-down menu for options to select why you're requesting an app fee waiver. And there's a couple different reasons that you can choose from there. So just select one of those. We do ask that you submit a FAFSA as well when you are selecting the application fee waiver. So please go ahead and do that. And then we can just waive the fee on our end. We also waive the fee for military and veteran students.
That's awesome. All right. Now, when do you think it's the best time to apply? For the fall, and when's the best time to apply in the spring?
Love it. All right. So if you are interested in this fall, I would say aim to get your application in early to mid-March. So again, the deadline is not until April 15th, but by then students will already be registering for fall courses, and you don't want to be too far behind on picking your classes. So if you get your application in early or mid-March, that'll give us time to read it, process it, let you know that you got accepted. You would then submit an enrollment deposit, and then you'd get to meet with an advisor, go over your course equivalencies, what transferred in, what you still have left to do, and you'll have time to do all of that before it's time to register for courses. UNC Asheville just last year changed our process for registering transfer students. So it used to be that transfers all kind of registered on the same day after current UNC Asheville students. Well, that's not super fun, right? So we changed it so that transfers can now register along with current UNCA students, depending on how many credit hours you're bringing in. So transfers are now able to register earlier than they used to, which means that it puts just a little bit more responsibility on you to try to get those things in early so that you're not the last person to register for classes. If you're looking at spring, the deadline is November 15th, but again, I'd say back that up a month, maybe aim for October. Again, so that there's time to process and meet with an advisor.
All right, great. So I have a scenario for you. Mm-hmm. If I have a transcript from a different university and had a low GPA, will you honor my new GPA or just average both GPAs from two schools?
Ooh, great question. So first, we do have to have your official transcripts from every school that you've attended. So even if, you know, let's say you went to Guilford Tech and then transferred to Wake Tech, and you say, but all my Guilford Tech credits are on my Wake Tech transcript. Well, we still need that Guilford Tech transcript as well. So we need official transcripts from all the schools that you've taken a class from. Now, we are going to accumulate your GPA. So we are going to kind of combine all of the GPAs from all the transcripts that we have. But again, because we do holistic application review, that number, that cumulative GPA, is not the only thing that we're looking at. So in general, when we're looking at a transfer application, we would like to see consistent good grades or an upward trend in good grades, right? So so those are things that we're considering. So while your cumulative GPA might be like a 2.3, right? That might be because you only had a 1.0 at Guilford Tech, but you now have a 3.0 or a 3.5 at Wake Tech, right? Well, of course, that Wake Tech GPA is going to be more important to us. While we technically have to consider everything, we are absolutely going to look at that and say, man, this student stuck with it, they improved, and now they're knocking it out of the park. They might even be, a PTK student, even if their cumulative is still like a 2.3. So absolutely, that's something that we're going to consider, that you've been improving, and we're going to take a look at that. And then just know that once you start taking classes at UNC Asheville, once you enroll here, your GPA starts fresh. So you're going to start back at a 0 after your first semester at UNC Asheville. You'll have a brand new GPA just based on your classes that you've taken here. So you don't have to, if you're not super proud of your GPA, it's not going to follow you. You get a chance to start over. Okay.
And what do you think will make the application for a transfer student stand out?
Yeah, great question. So anything that you're able to add beyond just those transcripts. We do, and that could be a lot of things, right? So yes, if you're the president of your Rotary Club, that's awesome, and tell us that. But if you weren't able to do a lot of volunteering or outside of the class involvement because you've got a full-time job or because you've got kids, tell us that too, right? So we want to know how you're spending your time. We want to know what makes you unique. even if that, isn't necessarily the things you think of in terms of extracurricular activities, right? We do have an essay built into our application. That essay generally is a pretty general prompt, like, tell us why you're transferring. That's a really, really good opportunity to talk to us about what it is that you're passionate about, what you hope to do or hope to achieve while you're at UNC Asheville. Maybe you started out with a different program in mind and had some sort of experience that brought you into the interest of your current interest. So just tell us, any information that you're able to give about yourself, what makes you unique, and kind of your journey from here, or your vision of what you want to accomplish once you get to UNC Asheville. So anything you're able to give us beyond just that transcript and your email address.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let's see.
And I will also add, beyond what's required for the application, we oftentimes get other materials from students who just want to supplement that. So, I've had students email me an essay they wrote last year in their English class that they were really proud of, or a student who, wants to send their art portfolio because they're interested in studying art here, right? So those things aren't required, but anything you want to add, anything you want to send to supplement your application, you're welcome to just email to me. We love looking at stuff like that.
All right, great. And as a transfer student, what do you see as a trend in special clubs or activities that they usually get into once they transfer to the university?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. I think that transfer students oftentimes, a lot of transfer students live off campus. And so they sort of approach college as, okay, well, I've already done a couple years, I'm just here to complete my degree, right? So oftentimes transfer students don't think about those clubs and organizations like a first year student might. And I do, absolutely encourage them to. Transfer students oftentimes have different perspectives and different backgrounds that are really bringing value to those groups and to those organizations. So, think about how boring a student club would be if it was all, first year students who just came fresh out of high school, right? So transfer students offer those valuable perspectives and life experiences that we need included in our clubs and organizations. So I do encourage students, if you're looking at, of course, it depends on if you're having to work while you're in school, right? I do oftentimes encourage transfers to take a look at on-campus jobs. We have some pretty decent paying on-campus jobs, and that's a really good way to sort of stay involved in the campus community, while also, of course, being able to survive and pay for food. But yeah, we have all sorts of clubs and organizations. It's very easy to start your own. Like I mentioned, if you are interested in living on campus, then you can live in the transfer living learning community, and that's a great club that's specific to transfer students, as I said, that are new, really good way to meet people. But a lot of our clubs and organizations do meet during the lunch period, during our kind of free period in the middle of the day. So that's a much easier way for students to access those meetings as opposed to just, having them all in the evening once everyone's already gone home. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, to the students, if they have no more questions, would it be all right if you left your contact information so that way they can feel free to contact you if they think of any other questions later?
Happy to,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Lindsay, if you could just drop that in that Q&A box, that way the students can have access to it. And after you put your contact information in there, for the students out there, I am going to put a survey link. So just feel free to fill that out so that we have feedback from you all about what you liked and didn't like about the session. And then you'll also have a chance to win a $50 gift card if you fill that out. And thank you, Lindsay, for putting that in there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And Lizzie, we actually had one more question from a student just now. They asked, which associate's degree does UNCA accept from Wake Tech Community College?
Great question. So technically any transfer degree. So in terms of degrees that satisfy most of our gen ed requirements, that's going to be the AA, the AS, or the AFA. So Associates in Arts, Associates in Science, or Associates in Fine Arts. So any of those three would satisfy the vast majority of our gen ed requirements, or as we call our liberal arts core. If you do the Associates in Engineering, that will transfer into our engineering program here. Again, it will leave it so that you only have 3 years left to complete that mechatronics degree. So that's the one you can look at if you're interested in transferring into our engineering degree. If you're doing an Associates in Applied Science, some of those classes will transfer, but quite a few of them won't. So if you are on an AAS path, be sure that you're working closely with your advisor, and please reach out to me so we can talk about which of those classes will transfer. But in general, as long as it's a class from the UGETC list and you've got at least a C in it, then it will transfer to UNCA.
All right, great.
Lindsay, it looks like we have another question. It says, I have 2 more semesters left. Should I start my transfer application?
Ooh, so that depends. If those 2 semesters mean this current spring and summer, and you're interested in starting in the fall, definitely go ahead and start that transfer application. If your 2 semesters would lead you to starting at UNC Asheville in the spring, then I would say hold off. If you want to start with us in the spring, then I would say wait until August or September to submit that application. But if you are going to be continuing to take courses during the summer and you want to get started with us in the fall, go ahead and do that application now.
All right, thank you. We'll give it just a couple more minutes to see if there are any more questions that come through. Again, just a reminder, Lindsay's contact information is in the Q&A chat box, as well as that student survey for you all to fill out.
These are great questions, y'all.
Lindsay, I was just going to follow up. I know you said that the AA, AS, AFA are all good, but you did mention the like mechatronics program. So that would still, students who have an AE, the Associate in Engineering, that would still work, right?
Yes. Yeah. So if students are interested in going into the mechatronics program, the AE is definitely the way to go. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And another reminder for everyone out there who's watching, if there was any part that you want to rewatch or that you forgot to take notes about, we are going to upload these presentations or videos rather to the Wake Tech Advising YouTube channel. So definitely feel free to check that out a little bit later if there's anything you missed.
That's an awesome resource. Nice.
Yeah, Amanda, I forget, how long do we usually take to put that up there? Is it about a week?
Yeah, usually about a week, and then you should be seeing that up there.
All right. Well, if there are no more questions, we might just give it one more minute and just kind of wrap up a little bit early, but we definitely want to make sure that we give enough time for students to ask questions. And Lindsay, we can't thank you enough for taking your time out today to present for us and answer all of these questions. And it looks like we actually have a new question.
Yeah, the acceptance rate for transfer students. I believe over the last couple years, the average acceptance rate for transfers has been around 80%. And that's pretty high. And one of the reasons for that is because UNC Asheville is such a specific school. I think a lot of students who are applying to UNCA already have a really good sense of if this is the right fit for them. So most of the applications that we get are students who are ready to get started and who know what they're getting into and who have a really solid academic background. And especially for students who, a lot of the students who apply do have a completed associate's degree. So that's one of the reasons that it's so high. But yeah, you've got a good chance.
All right, any last lingering questions? All right, looks like we will wrap it up. Again, stick around if you're interested in any of the other schools today that we have participating in the fair. We have this fair going on all day until 4 o'clock as well as tomorrow. So just a reminder that there are some other schools to sit through and listen through if you're interested. And again, thank you so much, Lindsay. We will reach out if we get any additional questions for you, and hopefully students took down your contact information just in case they want to reach out to you personally. But we will go ahead and end the event.
Awesome. Thank you so much.